Welcome everyone. Here we are in Genesis, and in 39 we have Joseph. He's going to Potiphar's house here as he's been sold into slavery, and it's a good example of how things that are evil can end up working for Christ. Okay, so here we have the motivation of the brothers was hatred. Okay, and it ends up fulfilling all of this. Okay, it ends up admonishing all of Egypt. Look where it ends up. See, that's where I said you have to sit back at times and look at the 7,000-foot view. You can't get caught up in micro situations when you need to work at the macro situation. Look at the big picture. Look at the hope that we have. It's right over the horizon. Okay? As all things work together for the good of the saints. What do you think that means? Does that mean that it's going to be a rose garden down here? No, it is not going to be a rose garden, is it? But in the end, it's not the beginning of a thing. There in the book of Ecclesiastes, it's the ending thereof that counts, and that's what's going to happen here. But here he's sold into slavery with the turncoat wife of Potiphar, and he's the general under Pharaoh. He's a big shot, man. And so here's the wife wanting to seduce Joseph. And so we go through all that, and prison too. Many of the saints, even Moses himself, was in prison. Do we know that? Here we are in chapter 39 in the book of Genesis, verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hand of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And we really have the details in all this in the book of Jasher. Scroll back there. It's right there. Get yourself a book of Jasher, make sure it's the right one. In 4 it says, And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. So this servant, slave, purchased, ends up going right to the top, does he not? That's what the Lord can do. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. In 6, and he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. New paragraph in 7. And it came to pass after these things that the master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. And that don't mean take a nap. You know what that means out there. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Question mark. Oh, do we have the details there in Jacer over this? Okay, there's a lot more to this. A lot more of the temptations, a lot more of the evil of this lady comes out. She was seductive, and then she was vicious. Even threatening murder, even threatening imprisonment, gouging his eyes out. You got to hear it. And then all the ladies that come in there and how it affects them. It's really demonic. But that's another history for another day. It's in Jacer there. In 10 it says, And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went in to the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. Okay, and the reason for this is because they were having their great occult festival, and everybody was gone out there to the river, okay, as they worshiped the goddess of the river. 12, it says, And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. All right, now when she tells on him, they want to kill him. Okay, but we had the occult priests that examined it. This is in Jacer now. And found, well, no, he was not the aggressor here, and they examined the garment, etc. Okay, so like I said, in 12, And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. Okay, so she had that garment. And she really had the place primped and primed and flowered, and her royal apparel on, and perfumed the place up and all that. She really wanted him bad. 13, And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, capital S, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. Period. 16, And she laid up his garment by her, until her Lord came home. And let me tell you, Potiphar is hot under the collar over this. 17, And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lift up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. 19, And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. Now, that was a light sentence, you see, because Potiphar wanted his life over this. It was the occult judges, the occult priests that judged that she was not telling the truth, but he went to prison anyway. So there's that. 21 is a new paragraph. But the Lord was with Joseph and shewed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. Okay, so, and then we were discussing, we have to put these two together because they do go together. We were just now discussing that. We have this famous baker and butler here, and Joseph interpreting their dreams. Okay. All right, in 40, chapter 40 in Genesis. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. Okay? And that had to do with what? Bread and wine. Yeah. Was tainted when they brought it in. So, there you go. 3, and it says, and he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. In 5, new paragraph, and they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. In 6, and Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. 7, and he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his lord's house, saying, wherefore look ye so sadly today? 8, and they said unto him, we, capital W, have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me then, tell me them, I pray you. So tell me the dreams. 9, and the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. 11, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. In 12, and Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee unto thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, and after the former manner when thou wast his butler. In 14, it says here in 14, but think on me when it shall be well with thee, and shew me kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. Period. Okay. And that does occur, okay, down the road. However, in the book of Jasher, the Lord says, you're not depending on me. You're trying to do this with your power. Therefore, he got more time in there to teach Joseph to lean on the Lord. And do not try to do it by his own will, his own practice, his own worldly way of doing it. And that's what Jasher says. See, so here, Joseph himself, who ends up in charge of all the food of the world, had a training ground here. According to the book of Jasher, he got more time for that right there. From the Lord. Okay, in 15, he explains, this is Joseph talking, for indeed I was stolen away out of the hand of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. All right, so there's that. In 16, when the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. 17, and in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. Okay, and this, his interpretation here is an ouch, folks. 18, and Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. Okay, so that was not what he expected, was it? 20 is a new paragraph, and it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand, period. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. And according to the book of Jasher, that was from the Lord. That was from the Lord. And so there was more time that went by here, see, and that's what I'm saying. When you read Jasher, you realize that many things in here didn't just happen one after another, that there was periods of time, and it gives you a better view of all the time that goes by here in Genesis, and it gives you a better clock, when I say a clock or calendar, of how these things moved along, because there's a lot here, a lot of time goes by in much of our old doctrine here. It doesn't give us those details, so we can easily think that this just happened overnight, and it did not. Joseph got more time here, more time to reflect, and more time to learn and grow in the furnace of adversity. The saint is turned into silver for the Lord. Okay, folks, thanks a lot. I will see you on the next seating.